Good morning, good evening, everyone. This is Bhupesh. Hope you're doing perfectly well. So, we are increasing our learnings day by day, and today we are going to talk about another interesting session on how to create AI agents using n8n. Most of you might be aware that I have created a lot of sessions on MCP, how to connect MCP, how to create your own MCP. Right, we'll be doing something similar to that today into the short session, but using n8n. N8n is a very popular automation workflow that is being used by DevOps engineers nowadays to make your own chatbots or to make your any automation that you want to do, or you can say about AI ops things. So n8n is simply a AI workflow automation platform that you can do anything. You can talk about a webhook, you can run anything, you can restart any service with the help of this workflow, create any workflow, and this is really available in both open source as well as cloud, and you can try n8n for your basic need. So we'll be doing a very basic use case today using n8n, and then you can scale it to at any level. There are a lot of templates available in the n8n, so you try out as per your need and see the magic is happening pretty quickly. To make it happen, we are having a small use case that I'll be publishing into my GitHub page for that matter, and then you can simply try out with my GitHub, and then this is the repo which I'll be dealing it today. Python MCP servers, everything is done with the help of Python, and we'll be dealing with this Docker Compose file today. So let's see what we have in our bucket. So I have a Docker Compose file. Now, why we are using Docker Compose file? Because I want to run n8n, I want to run Prometheus, I want to run Grafana, and I want to do some kind of, showcasing or some kind of automation using all this stuff. Okay. Now, if I go further, I have an n8n container which I'm spinning it up, and I'm doing mapping of my volume from this drive to the inside container. You can see the volumes are being mapped, the slash temp to the mount slash host temp, right? And then I'm running a Prometheus container with the Prometheus.yaml, which is there in the same folder. So it will scrape its own Prometheus, right? I can add other scraping agent endpoints like node exporter and so on. But for now, let's keep it simple. And then I'm running a Grafana, and the password is admin and running onto 3000. And I'm connecting all these three containers onto one a networking bridge, name bridge. Okay. So that is pretty much. Let me run this Docker Compose file so that you can understand what we are doing in this. Docker Compose up minus in detach mode. So it will bring up all three containers. Yes, if I'm not wrong. And let's see, Docker PS is the one which you can see. The n8n is running. It is running on 5678 port. Prometheus, Grafana, So let's see. First of all, we'll see the Prometheus and Grafana. Let me close the unwanted. So Prometheus is running on my 1990, correct, and it should be scraping its own matrices. So let's see it. I'm keeping it very simple. If you are not understanding anything, please put down into the comment section. So I'm scraping itself Prometheus, and there are certain matrices that are being captured by this job. So you see all these. uh, Now let's see whether the Grafana is up or not. So everything is running in Docker. So the password is admin. Okay, I'll change the password to something else to make my life easy. Okay, I've changed the password. Let me add the Prometheus as a data source in this so that I can see the same matrices in my Grafana also. I'm doing pretty basic things still so far. There's no rocket science involved. N8n flavor will come eventually. Just bear for some time. So so it is running as Prometheus container. 1990 is the port. Yes, I should do save and test. Yes, it is working fine. So Prometheus is connected. I will run my magic query again to see whether the matrices are being visualized here. Perfect. So matrices again. So Prometheus Grafana is up. Let me see my n8n is running or not. So basically n8n runs on 5678 port. And when you log in for the first time, it will ask you certain basic things, email ID and all those stuff. You can simply do that, and then, you know, okay. Anyway, so this is the home page of your n8n. So we'll do, basic things. First of all, I have created a workflow called as process CPU second. So if you really want to create a workflow, you can click here, new workflow. Now I will link all these things to my MCP. But first of all, I'm telling you how to create a very basic, simple workflow. Okay. Now I am creating a workflow to uh, actually run a small Prometheus matrices. I've created a workflow which I'll be using n8n Prometheus, I guess. So what is there in this JSON? Let me show you. So Prometheus JSON is having so I'm doing HTTP request. I'm doing HTTP request. So this is the example of workflow, right? So I'm doing a HTTP request on my Prometheus endpoint. I'm saying, can you please tell me whether this metric is present or not, right? That is what I'm trying to run with the help of this, flow, right? And if I see that this metric is there, so let me see whether my this guy DN810 is able to fetch it. So I'm just doing a fetch of this matrices from this endpoint, since it just does not require any kind of, we are doing, if this matrix exists, then simply return and create an alert, or you can do any more things. So this is what I'm doing. Let me load this JSON. I've already loaded it, and then I'll click it. So yeah, this is there. I will click the check metrics. So metrics is also there, and then alert, you can, if you want, you can put an alert also. Now this is something, the individual workflow is running. It is able to scan your Prometheus. Now suppose I want to attach this workflow with any I'm talking about the AI agent level. Suppose I want to trigger this workflow for any issue or for any alert. So I will create a webhook. Okay, so how I can create a webhook? So I will use webhook. Click on webhook. Okay, now we have a webhook. I will create this, and this is the production URL webhook. I will listen for the event. So it will, listen for this webhook, and then I'll go back and I'll try to do curl. So actually now this webhook, so whatever I'm doing from my local system, now it will just simply, yeah, so workflow was started. So you see, so I'm able to trigger that workflow from my local, and I can trigger this workflow from other pieces also, that I'm gonna show in a few seconds. So you see the flow has been triggered, and I can see the same thing. Save it. I saved my flow. I'll see the executions. So these are the past execution. This has just now happened. You see the time frame 2028. Let me trigger the again this workflow. Yeah. So okay. So let me go back. Let me take the production based workflow thing. Workflow. This one. Yeah. Okay. Then I will need to do an. Okay. I need to connect this. This is the one which I need to copy. Okay. I need to then active this. Now this workflow is active. Right now, this webhook will, so I've already saved it. Now I will go back. I will again do this -x get. Now you see this is a production based webhook. Now it should say workflow was started. Now fine. So my workflow is there. Let me save it a metric reading. METRIC reading. Okay. Perfect. So now I'll come back here. I'll get the executions metric reading. Yes, it has executed again. See, so that is how I can run my n8n workflow independently. Now, next question. Can I talk to this n8n? So since it is a webhook, so webhook can be triggered by curl, by Python, or by Prometheus alerting. So I can put an alert in my Grafana. Suppose if the CPU is going above 80%, please trigger this workflow. So I can call this webhook over there, right? So try to understand the use case, that is the more important. So I'm saying please call this webhook whenever there's a problem, and whatever is happening is webhook, that is up to you. Currently, I've just shown how to run a Prometheus metric, but I can call this webhook for any other use case also. Now, how I can call this webhook by MCP, which is something today is requirement. So you remember in my last session, I have created an MCP server, which is nothing but it is having your Prometheus, Grafana, and it can create automatic dashboard and everything. Now in this, I will add my this trigger n8n workflow also. Uh, I'll copy this and I will try to trigger it from my MCP, right? So let me have only one workflow. Perfect. Just save it. It is running very, very slow. I don't know why. Okay, so this is the same Python code that we wrote in last session. So this Python code contains four tools. One is Prometheus, another is reading Prometheus, another is reading Grafana, and creating the dashboard automatically. All this is written in Python and using the MCP function. Now today I am integrating n8n. That is the additional thing that I'm doing. Okay. So this is additional function I've written. I'm saying please call this webhook whenever I want uh, to type it from my GitHub Copilot. Now I'll come back and I will, uh, switch on my, and um, let me stop this so that we can do a fresh start. Okay, now I'll start my MCP server. I'm using UV. I've started main.py, you see, and I'm using MCP CLI. Now I will click on this. I'll click on more, show output. There is no error when I'm running my MCP. Perfect. Now I will simply go back here. You see, I did something before this, call. You can say before this. Now I want to run the n8n workflow from my GitHub Copilot. So I'm saying, please trigger the n8n workflow and read the metric, Prometheus metric. Okay. So there are two ways uh, to integrate your n8n with your use case. One is you create a webhook, and then that webhook will be used in the Grafana alerting so that if there's any alert, trigger that workflow and get the job done. Other ways, communicating with the help of any chatbot. Either you can use ChatGPT, Claude, or you can use GitHub Copilot, right? And then you can do the things. Okay, so I've paused that video for a second. So I ran this command, please trigger n8n workflow and read the Prometheus matrices via MCP server. So it has actually done some preparation. It has ran the trigger n8n workflow, and you see this has been executed. That webhook has been executed, and you can see 200 response also, and it has executed that metric and given the result. And all request steps are calculated. Would you like to create an update dashboard panel? So interesting. So now he's asking you, would you want me to create a dashboard also? But for that, I think I don't have that is something which we have already done last time. So I've not created a service account. So let's not do that. Anyway, so what my main intention is to show the n8n workflow has been triggered. So let me go back to my n8n and then show back to the executions. Right, you see, list Prometheus matrix, workflow has been triggered 2034 with the MCP, right? That is the thing I want to show. And not only this, now I would take a pause. So this has succeeded. Now I'll take a pause. Now I've done another use case in n8n. Suppose you are running a service or anything you're running into a virtual machine. Now, suppose you want to restart any service for any issue or any use case, you can create a workflow in n8n and then get it triggered with the help of webhook again. And then, so what you need to do, you need to create a bash command here. So what I'm doing in bash, I'm simply saying bash workflow that can you please go ahead and create a folder or run any bash command into my local laptop, or you can into my any VM. So for VM, you need to specify the username and password for virtual machine. But this is another use case where you can simply go ahead and uh, ask n8n to talk to your local laptop. Now, what I'm trying to here is cdtmp. Let me remove this rm uh, minus rf. Okay. So what I'm saying, so again, this is a use case where I'm trying to talk to my laptop from this n8n that if there's anything that is happening, I will create a webhook. Let me create a webhook also. See, understand the chronology, what I'm trying to say, and just making sure that let me just double connect this webhook to this thing. Let me delete this manual trigger that is not needed. Okay, and I can. This is the webhook I'm trying to say. Okay, so perfect. Let me run. So, acha, so let me copy this webhook. This is the webhook. Now I will run this webhook now. The same thing, curl, or again I can call this webhook from my alerting. So workflow was started. So let me see whether the workflow has created something or not. So, and the thing has been created. Okay, this was not executed. Now I'll just simply run it. So yeah, this is the execute workflow. I'll do that execute workflow again. I'll simply call this, right? You say Bhupesh has been created. I will again do it. Now you see workflow has been completed end to end. So let me remove it again. See, this is all interesting things that you can do with n8n. You can do anything with n8n. This is not about. So I will say execute workflow, waiting for you to call the test URL. So I will call this, webhook, correct? I will call this webhook. Webhook was started. Now you see Bhupesh folder has been created, correct? And the workflow has been executed. Now I'll go back. I'll do save. I'll go back to my executions. You can say create folder has been created again. So that is pretty much. I want to keep it short. So n8n is very popular tool where you can create any workflow. There are so many templates available. You can integrate with GitHub. You can integrate with Slack. Anything. The only thing you need to understand in your mind, what is the use case. Suppose I want to do AIOPS related thing, and you are having 5 toils, and you want to reduce those toils. Just create 5 workflows and create 5 webhooks. Use those webhooks either in an alerting or in any other automated way, right? The moment Grafana alert is created, it will call that workflow, webhook workflow, and then it will get the job done. So it is a kind of AIOps flavor that I want to tell, right? And people are using it. So I want to keep it short and simple. If you have any doubts and queries, please put down in the comment section. And that is pretty much. I will take a pause. Thank you. Stay tuned and do not forget to like and subscribe. That's something which I normally ask, and you can see other playlists pertaining to Grafana, OpenTelemetry, and so on. Thank you for now. Good day.